right, y'all, time to dive into the second quarterfinal matchup of the day with Rolster Y facing off against KT Rolster. Sengoku Gaming, there we go. All right, here is the reason 500 Y Sengoku is so easy to root for. Rush tweeted, "I may not be the best, but I will try to be my best for today's Game 5. This team is so easy to love, right, Riku?
Yeah, they're very wholesome. They're very charming, as we see on camera, even during their interviews. I really love Juan's hairstyle, by the way, during day 5 with the cute twin tails. Yeah, gotta love their energy, their battle cries when they win. So looking forward to see, their walkout or their sit, where they're sitting down and talking with each other.
Yeah, well, Hawk and Rush are the duo that we got to be looking out for, not just the hairstyles as well, right, Riku?
Yeah, for Sengoku, we've been really loving the dynamic with Hawk and Rush. We brought this up during the group stages, how Hawk is the ace of the squad and Rush being the setter. We're looking at Rush picking junglers that set like the Nunu, like the Lee Sin, and then Hawk playing carries to follow that up. So one pick that we still haven't seen from Hawk yet that has been very iconic during the Japan Cup is the Akali. So if the Galio is not there, if the Brahm's not there, or maybe even the Gragas or big disengage or big champions that like to punish him, we might see it in this series.
Araki?
Yeah, I mean, I think one really interesting point to talk about when it comes to Sengoku is they have two very different play styles that they can go into. One is when Rush is playing a fast tempo, early aggression jungler like the Lee Sin, like the Nunu. And when they do that, they look for aggressive plays throughout all of early game. They try to make a lot of synchronized plays with Deju as well. But on the other hand, when they don't have an early game aggressive jungler, they have something like a Graves. They sit back and scale for the team fights. Now, against KT Rolster Y, I don't think you're going to be allowed to just scale and get to the team fights because Rolster Y are very good at punishing early games, especially on the side of Vertel. So I'm curious what type of strategy they're going to come in to the series with, and I wonder how Rolster Y is going to react.
Well, wonder no longer. The teams are ready to go. We had one quarterfinal go 3-0. How will the next one go? Let's find out by tossing it on over to Rafa and Alk Battery.
Well, Digon, I'm hoping we get a full 5-game series here, because not to say that, Team Secret dominating a 3-0 fashion was not impressive. I mean, because the history and the narrative behind that is absolutely insane. But man, I wasn't expecting to come on so fast. I wanted to hear more of Kangas. I wanted to hear more of Smacks. I wanted to see it go to distance, but hopefully between Rolster and Sengoku, we get a little bit more.
I hope that this kind of team delivers. And really, when you look at the head-to-head matchup, we saw the MasterCard prediction. Everybody at home, a majority of them are seeing Rolster as the favorites, and it's hard to disbelieve that, right? They were huge favorites in their own group, and now coming into the quarterfinals, coming out of the knockout stage, Rolster is looking really, really dominant.
Going into this first game, draft, Alk Battery, Sengoku on the red side, Rolster Y on the blue side. A lot of primary picks that we have seen rise up in the draft. I want to see if we have any, mid-series adaptations come in, because if we take inspiration from the prior quarterfinals, we saw things pop up like Azar, running back the Akali. Do we see any other assassins coming up between Hawk and Isaac, or even Rattel and Kai? When we look at Rattel, this is one of the Baron laners. I think he's number 1 in KDA stats out of all the Baron laners so far in Horizon Cup. I want to see if Rattel reaches deep into his pockets and pulls out some.
Well, there's a bunch of things here already to unpack, right? Rolster's on blue side, 80% win rate. It has been the favorite for both of these teams, where red side is really not Sengoku's kind of flavor. They're 40% win rate on this side. And when you look at this, they're also running Kai, the main Baron laner for this team, where usually we were expecting maybe we might see Mochi at some point in this series, and with how it should develop from my standpoint is, if they don't sub in Kai early on, we're going to see Kai a lot of games this series.
Six's first pick, after seeing a couple of Baron laner bans from Sengoku, Renekton being the answer for Kai, and now Rush. The Lee Sin is not available. We've seen how pivotal that early game champion has been for him setting up the tempo of the early game. But going to the Graves gives you a little bit of scaling power, as well as some skirmishes for the mid game.
Yeah, and now I think this is really interesting because I know the Des was talking about it. Where is the Nunu, where the Alistar going to be in terms of priority, right? We're trying to get rid of support picks for Salem and Dejuo, and now looking forward to this, now that the Graves is already out, do we see Rolster go for the Nunu or flex into something a little bit different? I know we saw Camille earlier on, just in the last quarterfinals, playing in the jungle role. If that adaptation is something we see throughout the rest of the knockout stages, it'd be really, really interesting.
Galio also being locked in, a little bit more team fight power. AoE taunts, Hero's Entrance, supply, and make that Hex-Tech ultimatum combo. I mean, so far with this 3-man core,
Circles. It's the circles comp.
the Venn diagram. I mean, at this point, Doe might just run back, or not him run back, but we might see a Jarvan kind of inspired from some of the other compositions era. TSM, I mean, that was a team that did take a game off of them in their series.
Doing this exact composition.
Exact composition. I wonder if they learned a thing or two. And you have to remember when we were talking to TSM Mikey, talking about how Korea was one of the teams that they scrimmed a lot going into Horizon Cup and even before that.
It was pretty dangerous. And having some backup damage is nice. This does obviously lock in the Ziggs for Isaac in the mid lane, but we're still waiting as to where this Galio is going, right? Whether we're going to pick this in. And when you look at the support matchup, we're talking about Galio versus Rakan. I pretty much favor this for myself. And now for Sengoku, what is their final pick? What are they waiting for Hawk, who has been such a standout member, him and Rush being the two counterpick duo between this team for Japan?
Well, no Jarvan, but you did allude to it before. You gotta have Nunu and Willem creating those snowball opportunities.
It is technically a circle still. You know, you got the absolute zero, which is a huge circle. Exactly. You're doing the charge up. You get the energy ball, unleash all of that. So still a pretty massive circle comp, but the damage is obviously focused on this Lucian and Ziggs.
Sengoku with their last pick, gonna be picking in Diana for Hawk. So this means between Dejuo on this Rakan and Hawk's Diana, it's up to them to create the primary engage opportunities for them. Moonfall, quickness, grand entrance, set up the damage, and you can combo that with Graves' burst. And then you have Kai on flank duty. And if you keep them in that CC combo for long enough, then that's enough feathers that you're bleeding in, and then you can get massive blade colors throughout.
This will be really interesting, I think, for Sengoku and give us the flavor of what we'll see throughout the series, because this Sengoku comp is relatively short range. Diana's a melee champion. You have Graves, who obviously has very little range. The biggest amount of range is going to be coming out of this Rakan, just because how far out he can reach with the Grand Entrance. Right. And you look at Rolsters, they have so many ways of stopping the engage and kind of brute forcing you, putting up that stone wall and keeping you into compact areas, right? We're talking about the Nunu from earlier. Ziggs has awesome wave control and ability to kind of control areas. And Galio does the same thing alongside Mattel's Camille. So if Sengoku can't break open that front line, they're going to have such a hard time putting in all that damage.
And I think the interesting comparison between these two rosters, or these two squads, is that Rolster and Sengoku both have late game damage, but they're coming from different places. When you look at Rolster, you have this powerful split pusher in Camille that can also be a team fighter, and as well you have the Ziggs. Whereas you look at Sengoku Gaming, it's the Graves and the Zaya that are trying to put out all the damage, whereas in the rest of the composition, acting as that early bridge, and then playing, you know, borrowing Riku's terminology, playing setter to the ace of Sengoku.
We're not getting more of those volleyball memes, are we? I'm terrible at sports.
And, come on, man. I mean, it's once you get the hang down of it, then it's not that hard to pick up. Also, you can also watch hiking. That's how pretty much.
I could do that, or I could just not watch those sports, and instead I could watch some good old-fashioned esports.
Well, we're getting ready into game one, ladies and gentlemen. Rolster Y representing Korea and Sengoku Gaming representing Japan. These two teams looking to maintain their tournament lives and advance into the semifinals, where they will face against Thunder Talk Gaming, the other seed from China. As we already see Team Secret advancing, and will be taking on Dakun Gaming in their semifinal matchup tomorrow. So far. Oh, check this out, Dimitri.
Okay, they're just taking away some early Krugs, want to get some experience, get a little bit of gold in their pocket. It's just the mini Krugs, the baby rock monsters. Shouldn't lose out on all that much, right? Like, if you see they're keeping even in farm. I do want to take a note. We do have some prime gaming going on here. Got some random skin chest.
That is correct, we do. Make sure that if you have an Amazon Prime account at home, ladies and gentlemen, you should link your Prime Gaming and Wild Rift accounts so you can get some free in-game loot. I know I've gotten some.
Yeah, I got my own free skin. It's for a champion I don't play, but I know that as soon as I queue up an ARAM, I'm good to go. I've got a skin loaded up and ready.
So far, it doesn't seem that Doe was deterred, even though there's a little bit of a nuisance of Juan and Dejavu stealing some Krugs away. He's still catching up in XP fairly easily thanks to the passive XP generation, as well as just coming in and helping Isaac push out the wave, also taxing some XP, but this allows him and Isaac to move strongly into the top side of the map.
Lets them kind of play around the map, play around in Fog of War. For me, for Sengoku, I do want to see what they do in this first game because their ability to take early objectives has been so incredibly key for them. And you look at Rolsters, how they play around the top side, how they usually have Baron control, Rift Herald control. That has been in the favor of Sengoku throughout their series. So a good test of fundamentals, and we'll have to see how Rolster and how Sengoku adapt around each other.
Yeah, so far, Sengoku and Rolster, they're not really opting into confrontation. They're kind of like me during the early stages of high school. I don't want to try to meet up with people and face them head on. If I've got problems, I usually just, you know, wait until later once I'm, you know, in senior year.
Yeah, they're staying 6 feet apart. They don't want to interact with each other until
Social
later on.
distancing.
Exactly. They want to stay within compliance with each other. And, you know, just slowly farm. The early game has been explosive for most of the group stages, but as we've gone into knockout stages, we've seen such a crazy development when it comes to all the different champions that have been coming out. And I just wonder what Xayah is going to look like in this game. Juan has been a really great secondary carry for this team, but across from him is sitting Luna. And Luna, as a player, has been fantastic to watch. It's the Corki, it's the Lucian, it's all of the Kaisa as well. It's just been, oh man, it's been really, really cool to see.
I mean, I've been a fan ever since I saw him rush Relda's Grudge.
This is also true.
That was some dang tech.
That was definitely sub-tech.
We're almost 3 minutes into the game, which does put us about a minute before the neutral objective spawning. Rush is on the Baron side of the map, but he's going to get spotted out by the sword, so Rattel knows he can't be too aggressive while he's pushing out this last wave. He already got a recall in, but knowing that this is a bad spot, he's going to pick up some fruit.
Some honey fruit.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
40 seconds away from Rift Herald and Dragon spawning. Right now, where the junglers are positioned right now, you would imagine that they continue this pattern of not being confrontational, but they're going to take opposite objectives.
Yeah, take a look at this. Everybody from the side of Rolsters, they want to get a reset in. It's 25 seconds before. They want to make sure that they're up on items, up on their waves. So after this will be the time for Sengoku to push out the bottom and top wave, make sure they can set up for vision. They will be a little bit weaker when it comes to the itemization, but depending on which one they go for, it seems like Sengoku are going to back and maybe try to get this first dragon for themselves, as already Rolster are inside of the river and ready to go.
Yeah, Salem advancing forward into Sengoku's jungle. They're going to deny vision away by activating that Scryer's orb. But you already see that Doe is positioning around this dragon, and that's where Sengoku are also going to meet them.
Luna's in the top side though, so this should be interesting. They're going to be missing out on their early kind of powerful AD carry and just allowing for them to kind of give up this dragon. Although it seems like both teams, they want to fight around the mid lane. They do have some good key comps, and Lucian is on the way here, so Luna starting up the Rift Herald. This could potentially be a fight for Sengoku if they want to opt in for it.
Yeah, by having their dragon laner solo start the Rift Herald, whereas rest showing the rest of the jungle. A lot of damage on the wand, doesn't go down, has the honey fruit there. But because of the way Rolster stalled out this mid-wave push, they get the early jump on the Rift Herald, taking the objective first off the board, and now they have a majority of their members on the Baron side of the map, where they can go and break first turret.
And you know what they also did? Yesterday in their series, or their last games of the group stage, we saw them do this exact situation where they got the Rift Herald and immediately put it into the back pocket of Luna, who on the Xayah carried them to a full 3-game series. It was awesome to see, and we'll have to see if they can kind of replicate that, because they are constantly making sure that the jungle and marksman of Rolster's Y are just always synced up together.
They don't get the Rift Herald out quite yet. Hawk holding it down strong in that Baron lane, making sure that the turret doesn't fall. Sengoku are also able to trade Mountain Dragon as well. So far, Both teams somewhat even on gold, pretty much stable, and we're already seeing item power spikes coming in.
Yeah, you take a look at this. Everybody from Rolsters already has their finished first item, right? It's that Ludens for Isaac. It's the Blade of the Ruin King here for Luna. So it looks like we're going to be seeing more of that utility Lucian build. It's been kind of picker's choice at that point, right? We've either seen a utility between the Black Cleaver and the Serelda's Grudge, or moving a little bit more to that crit for obviously more scaling as the game goes on. Which is interesting, right? Because Rolsters, you would think, as we said earlier, did have a really long game time. Previously in the group stage, it was 21 minutes for them to end out a game, but currently, them and Sengoku actually have a tied game time record. They're both at about 18.5 minutes.
Both of these teams like to go the distance here.
A little bit.
They like to play from late. I think it was in the words of TJ that Sengoku Gaming really trusts in their ability to win late game team fights. And against Rolster, that's definitely not going to be an easy opponent. I think between Rolster and Team Secret, they have been some of the most amazing late game team fighting teams we've seen at the Horizon Cup tournament so far. Sengoku wanting to stamp their names among that lineup, among that team, and be, like Team Secret, advancing into the knockout stage. Rolster not also wanting to go down without a fight.
There's actually no action. This is kind of, this is a really interesting game just because there's been no kills, but we've been seeing a really great lane play, right? Making sure they're taking control, take priority over the mid wave, and making sure also your side lanes are pushed in so you can go in for these, you know, informed, intelligent plays. It's been a slow game. Everybody at home's like, there's no kills? What's happening?
They're just vibing on the
It's
Rift,
exactly what we were expecting coming in
they're
against
having a good time.
Sengoku.
You know, sometimes, you know, they're taking the hippie route, you know? No violence, all peace, all love on the Rift, you know? It's all good.
No turrets taken. Doesn't seem like there's any plates that have been taken either. Maybe one in the top side, so...
Everyone's just playing Farming Simulator.
Wow.
Which is, you know, they're kind of handshaking the early stages of the game. And we can go back to the top of the draft. I mean, both Rolster and Sengoku have late game carries that they can funnel gold into and play towards. So it's not like they're missing out on a ton doing...
This might be the play, though, Rafa. I mean, we've got Dragon spawning in the next 45, and you see already Salem is sitting here. Tail of the tape when it came to this matchup was how Salem and Dejuo were going to match up. And if they can make this first play, if they can find an opening for Rolsters, this should be the explosive start for them as they drop the Rift Herald in top lane, split the map, cause Sengoku to have a little bit of panic, see what their reaction is.
Yeah, Doe was running out of time, which is why he was trying to push out that wave. Luna wasn't trying to show to see if Hawk would overcommit and then try to catch him out in rotation. Rift Herald's gonna get one charge, but will not break open the first turret of the game. The rest of Sengoku, they were in hot pursuit trying to rotate on over to protect that Baron lane turret. Now they're coming over to the second dragon that is spawning. Rift Herald is also up, but Rolster, they are prioritizing the dragon.
Oh, wait a minute, Doe. Dejuo goes in.
He gets the grand entrance, but he's getting exploded.
He's
The
dead.
Inferno Bomb will find him. That's first blood over to the Korean powerhouses in Rolster Y. Sengoku Gaming now on the retreat, taking a lot of damage off the back end.
That's Dejuo down, and that's why we wanted to see the Alistar here instead of the Rakan, not as tanky. And even, I mean, literally wasn't able to use the grand entrance. The ultimate is still available for them. And in the meanwhile, Rush just says, hey, look, we're just going to have to make this trade. Juan, be careful there, brother.
I feel like we've seen that before.
Yep.
Literally Juan almost in a similar spot, almost getting taken down by Isaac, having to force the flash out. Rush in a 1v2, knows that Isaac
really
and Salem
tanky.
is super low on HP, but doesn't have collateral damage, but he's just relying on the raw strength.
Oh, Dejuo!
Three-man pursuit by Dejuo! He wants revenge after what just happened a couple minutes ago, Dimitri, but he's not going to get anyone in the return fire, but it does buy enough time for Rush to take Rift Herald.
It was impressive, but no one's there for Dejuo, so you can't really do anything. No one's able to follow up on that. And so as a return, it'll be Luna taking this top tier 1, and the Rift Herald immediately being dropped. Sengoku, they will not get the first turret. They will get a lot of gold in their back pocket as Rattel almost goes down. And this should be at least not one plate, but more likely 2 here for Sengoku.
They're rotating the strength of their members over. They still have full HPs on Rush and
That's just turret.
second turret of the game for the side of Sengoku Gaming. So even though they lose out on first prick, they take the gold lead by taking Rush.
And this is why we've seen for them that the Rift Herald is just such a priority. They are 4th in the tournament for their Rift Herald control. Almost 60% of Rift Heralds that have been in the game for them, they've been able to control. Whereas Rolster, they're just barely right under them. They are in 6th, but we're seeing it able to utilize the Rift Herald, immediately break open the map, and still maintain themselves a little bit of a gold lead. But as we were talking about, Rolsters waiting, confident in their ability to go for these late game team fights. And it has been, one thing that we've kind of pinned Rolster for is their inability to end games sometimes. So I wonder if they're going to kind of see themselves in this tough position, how do they fight out?
A lot of damage out from Luna, trying to force Hawk back. But Deja Vu is waiting in the wings. He pops
Here
the
he
quickness,
is.
looking for the knockup onto one. Grand entrance will only connect
Moonfall.
onto Doe. Moonfall follow-up from Hawk gets more burst damage onto the members of Rolster Y. Absolute Zero tries to buy some time, buy some space. Salem also with the hero's entrance, taking critically low, but won't go down anytime
Look, the rest of the members are here though.
Oh God, Rush is
Rush.
here, but Isaac, he's gonna try to interrupt him.
Dominus.
Throws out the scattered bombs. A lot of damage trying to buy Rush out.
Kai.
Collateral damage over there. Kai in the front line trying to get under the turret, but he goes down. Not enough damage for the rest of Sengoku to follow up on the dive, and Luna comes out victorious.
Sengoku, they just dive a little too far under the turret. They end up going down, and Rattel, he gets matched by Hawk, but that is a fantastic set of plays there for Rolsters, playing on the knife's edge, helping Luna get out of that. Salem's taunt was huge there.
Rolster. It seemed like they were the ones about to be punished after being overzealous on the dive against Sengoku Gaming, but then it was Sengoku that were overzealous as they chased them to the very bitter end, and you can see how close some of these fights are, Alk Battery, because Sengoku are still 2,000 gold ahead despite suffering 2 deaths there.
It's
Or
2
just
deaths.
just
Yeah,
one death.
they've got the dragon, they've got a mountain drake, which should help with some of that damage that is being mitigated. And, on the opposite side, they have themselves the Infernal Drake for Rolsters, but still, look at the map assignments, making sure that Luna's in a safe position. They have their jungler and Salem playing Fog of War in the river, so this will be another turret for Rolsters. And Sengoku, they're just looking for something. They need to go for this.
Oh, Deja Vu trying to follow up onto Isaac with beautiful flash and barrier. Will keep the mid laner of Rolster Y alive. But
Doe's
look at
rolling
Doe.
in.
He's coming in. Snowball not going to connect. A beautiful feather storm from Juan and a well-timed flash keeps himself alive from the engage. The rest of Rolster positioning around for any other counterattacks. Sengoku will back off.
Without that flash, Isaac does have a target on their back. Same thing with Juan. So if they can take down these key members on either side, that should be the team fight one for either team. Rolsters, however, they just have so much mobility, right? We're looking at Rattel, who is still 0-0-0. He has a small, gold deficit, but in the meantime, that's not going to matter. As soon as he blows up Juan, there's nothing he can do without the Featherstorm and without the flash.
And speaking of gold deficits, Alk Battery, look at where the majority of gold lead for Sengoku is. Everyone is almost dead even or slightly behind Rolster, except for Rush.
There's no Blade Caller. This is a huge cooldown that's gone.
Well, Juan, he's gonna have to be careful if he wants to choose this fight.
He just steals it!
Oh my God, Doe just says thank you for the leash, buddy! But now can Sengoku try and find revenge in this fight? Kai onto the front lines, but he's all by
That's
himself.
two.
Hawk was able to pick up a double kill in the process. Doe and Isaac already fallen. Rolster, Luna, can he? Oh, he finds
Luna!
one! Okay, Hextech ultimatum, but the stasis will
Hawk is
cancel
here,
out.
touch you out!
Rush is there. The taunt follow-up, but Rush flashes away from it. But Rush will still fall. That's a beautiful Justice Punch follow-up from Salem. Rolster Y pursues Sengoku to the very end under the tower, and they ace them.
Sengoku, they just give him the free opening going into the dragon. They say thank you for the Ocean Drake. The fight is looking very close, but Luna, his perfect positioning, comes on clutch. And with this Axe replay, we'll get to see exactly what happened. I think Doe did a fantastic job holding off 2 of the massive damage carries for his team. And while Hawk gets a massive moonfall, look at this, on the flank, lands it onto 2. It's just not enough. Luna is untouched, dashes out. The stun with the exhaust from Kai, it just does absolutely nothing. We get to see the carries of Rolsters really shine in this one.
You know, I preemptively called it was an ace. Kai was the only person that did make it out alive, so technically it was 1-1, but you see the way that Luna was able to freely position it. You called to him that he was going to be one of the important carries to watch in this series.
It's been an absolute pleasure to watch so far, but we need to see a little bit more. We need to see how Rolsters are able to close this out now. The gold lead has swung in their favor. The Baron is up. and they need to be able to take it. That has obviously been something that we talked about just a few minutes ago, Rolsters, and their kind of feels like crippling decision-making sometimes where they're unable to make these calls.
Oh god, Isaac has been picked! Stasis! He has flash and he has barrier. Can he distance himself? He throws out the Mega Inferno Bomb. Rush is taken down below 100
Hawk is here.
Collateral damage out from the wayside. Juan flashing backwards as well with the Blade Caller. Both of the marksmen from Sengoku Gaming will not go down. They have to back off and they're going to lose pressure on this map.
They get one kill, but at what cost, right? We're talking about the map pressure. That's the turret down. Now they're going to even take more of the jungle camps that are in the top side, kind of exert some vision pressure as well, fix their waves. Sengoku, it's a nice little catch, but all you get is the flash. If you can make a return investment on that, that's awesome. But Rolsters are still in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, Rolster, for the first time, we're seeing a significant gold lead from the Korean squad. 3,000 gold ahead. For so long, Sengoku were just slowly inching above them. Now, the rest of Sengoku are traveling as a three-man core, making sure that no one gets left behind. Good soldier mentality.
They are behind. So at this point, when you are behind this kind of gold and you're this behind in the objective states, for Sengoku, you kind of lose a lot of ability to have say on the map. And at that point, you then just roam around, arms locked, you're walking into the river, and you pray that there's no one death bushing. Make sure that you're tanky enough to get out. They do have some defensive, abilities to get out if that were the case, but they just need to make picks at this point. And Salem could be it.
Isaac getting knocked up once again. Deadpool
He's out.
Crucial in finding these picks, but the damage knockup is in there.
Look
Look
at
at the counter engage. Doe has them all locked up in this absolute zero. The hero's entrance right on top is the death sentence on top of multiple members of Sengoku Gaming. It's just easy cleanup for Rolster Y to lock down each member of Sengoku Gaming, and that's the official ace.
There we go, Rolsters. Bit by bit, take apart Sengoku Gaming. Everybody falls down, and is the aggressive tendencies of Luna dashing forward, using the Proto Bell, something that we haven't seen from a lot of other AD carries, but he has been really keyed in on this boot tech. And that should be the end of the game here, Rafa. Rolsters Y are taking game one.
20 seconds on the clock. There's no way that anyone can defend this. Rolster Y will strike first in this best of 5. One step closer to the semi-final stage of Horizon Cup.
It's game one, it's step one, but from here on out, it is on Sengoku. What is their response to this, right? Talking about a perfect draft for Rolsters. They've got Camille for Rattel. You've got all these aggressive AD carries that can position and be very safe for Luna. Things we need to think about as we go further on into the series, especially if Sengoku want a chance to get into that semifinals.
Gosh, it seemed like for the first 10 minutes, it was just a time bomb ticking away. And both teams were just like, you know what, we're biding our time, it's okay. We don't need to make any aggressive action during the early game. And then suddenly that mid-game, boom!
Boom.
It just exploded, man.
Everything. I mean, we were in a game, it was 8 minutes. Nothing happened. It was, we were trading objectives, we were just going for dragons. No one had died. And it was that first punch, right? Caught them a little bit off guard. And from there, it was just Rolster slowly picking apart the game. As soon as one person goes down, they can go into a side lane, take over that part of the map, move over, allow for Sengoku to react to that. And once they're there, I mean, you're then dictating the game to Sengoku. And from that point, we saw Rolster just slowly start to eke out advantages and take over the game.
And I'm curious if that is going to change up how Sengoku Gaming want to play. Obviously, whenever we see longer series like this, there usually is the first game that shakes off the nerves and they go back into the drawing board and they say, you know what, we didn't play, the draft wasn't wrong, our style that we wanted to play wasn't wrong, we just mis-executed a couple of fights that should have gone our way. And on the one hand, you can potentially make that argument because they were ahead, not that much, but they were slightly ahead for a majority of the game there.
Sengoku, I need to see it kind of step up. And Rolsters, they had even talked about like, hey, we didn't really play our game when we were talking about going up against DKG. They kind of fell into that trap of playing another style, and that's where they ended up kind of tripping. So now going into game 2, do we see them continue this circles comp that we've been really, really uncomfortable with? Or do they kind of go back to more of that bread and butter that we've seen throughout the tournament for them?
Well, I know that we have some friends over in Singapore. Let's check in with them for more on that Rolster victory.
And indeed. We're still hanging out in Singapore in our second quarterfinal series of the day. We've got Alma, we've got Grandin. Now, looking at this matchup, a lot of us were trying to figure out what to expect, but right off the bat, it feels like Rolster knew they expected Rush to pop off, and we're trying to keep him contained in their draft at least.
Right, so they target a lot of Rush's stuff, right? So it changes the pace a little bit for Sengoku. They don't really get to have the Nunu they played a lot with, the Lee Sin they played a lot with. Instead, they put things like the Diana on the focal point, stuff like the Rakan in the focal point, and it still looks good, don't get me wrong, but if you take a look throughout this game, the way that Rolster are able to recover is just so amazing.
Yeah, that intricacy really coming through in their play.
The play was definitely amazing, but I think the draft point, I want to drive this point home a little bit because I think Sengoku, they've kind of been figured out ever since the Team Secret series. You realize if you ban Lee Sin against them, you ban Nunu against them, then Rush can't be a playmaker. And sure, he can carry on Graves, but he really needs to get to a certain point, and the team needs to be able to get him there.
And if you're looking from the perspective of Sengoku, you always have to worry about what Rattel is bringing in that top lane and trying to prepare for that match accordingly.
It all starts there, right? Because I feel like Sengoku have an amazing confidence to go into this and say, hey, we're not going to play as if we were on the losing side of the matchup. You know, you have the Renekton up against Camille. It's playable for both sides. So itemizing first for the Blade of the Rune King. Avoiding any kind of Black Cleaver kind of first item shenanigans, trying to not go for that Exterior Gauge too early, really having that dueling potential. And you can see Rattel didn't have the pop-off that he usually does in a lot of his, well, I wouldn't say easier, but in some of his better matchups. In this game, Kai did a great job of stifling that progression from the Camille.
Yeah, and typically when you look at KT, when you look at Rolster Y and you say, what's their win condition? How are they going to win a game? You will usually say Rattel. So yes, like you said, props to Kai for keeping him, well, I wouldn't say shutting him down, but keeping him pinned down, not letting him pop off. And I think the credit for the game win here really needs to come down to Luna. Look at these team fights. This man, the way he navigates, the way he skirts around the outside of the fight, killing off the squishies. Just amazing Lucian play.
And the team really backing that up. It felt like they were sending him to lanes to be able to get online and as much gold as possible.
Gabby, I could go on all day about how things kind of played out, right? But Sengoku, I don't feel like they've been sure teams understand what to do against them, but they still look good in a lot of those moments. Deju was still a playmaker. He was shutting down a lot of the moves that Isaac was trying to get done, right? He was able to get those pickoffs. He held the game on longer than he should have been. But that being said, what the issue is now is that despite the fact that they are making good plays and they are punishing Rolster Y for it, at the end of the day, Rolster have been able to recover from bad positions almost miraculously, to the point that I cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah, specifically around the 11.5 minute mark, we saw there was an opening for Sengoku to try and make the play, follow up upon some low HP members on the side of their opponents, but in the end, Rolster's mechanics really coming through to save them.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the key point here. Rolster with the mechanics, Rolster with the team fighting, Rolster with the draft preparation. I think everything here just looks extremely good for this team, and I think they look poised to take a good lead here in the series.
Yeah, a different change in pacing. I mean, from the side of Rolster, a bit expected for it to be slower play, but Sengoku continuing to make that evolution throughout the Horizon Cup and leaning into that later game play. I want to know more about this matchup and what is to come, so let's send things back on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Gabby. And after that first game, time for Cisco. Every second counts. And what else but Rolster's Dragonsteel that led to so much more here, Rocky?
Yeah, important thing to know right off the bat is that Rakan's ultimate is on cooldown, which means he can't zone away the Nunu. Nunu gets to walk in for free, stealing the dragon, which highlights Nunu's strength for the objective control perfectly. And it's a really big elemental dragon to also take for the later game because this ocean gives you a lot of lifesteal. And in a game that's so slow paced, having those buffs for the later game gives you more and more stats as it goes on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for them to win against Joe here, it's so hard to win against the Smite War against Nunu with the Consume plus the Smite. And he not only steals the dragon for his team, but it also rattles Sengoku, rattles, and they win the team fight after.
Riku, don't hurt. I get it.
Good one.
Rattel, rattles. All right. I think one player that definitely needs to step up here is Juan. Juan getting outshined in that first game by Luna. You know, we've talked a lot about Rush and Hawk, but Juan has stepped up in multiple games. Will need to do so again. Let's find out if he's able to do so in game number 2. Let's send it on over to Rafa and Alk.
Thanks again, D. Gone. Game 2 on the horizon here at the Horizon Cup.
Wow. We got a Horizon Cup joke in there too? That's pretty good, Rafa. We're following Riku's step.
Hey, you know what? When Riku is setting up, the standards, we got to meet them. It's all about a team effort. And so therefore, if one person makes a pun, the rest of the team's got to make a pun.
Someone else has to come on through, help out the boys. I respect it. I like the call. But we are here, Rafa. We are here in game number 2. And we're looking at Sengoku Gaming, right? They just took a pretty big loss. And we look at how they got here from the group stage. It was pretty important for them to win out on these team fights.
I think the other thing, too, is when you look at... I know this is something that we were talking about going into Game 2, was the dragon control from both of these teams. And in fact, you had a little stat for us.
Yeah, I had a great stat that thank you for the stats team for bringing up. Before this series, Sengoku Gaming had only had one game where they got the first dragon, and they did not win that game. So 0%, great sample size. And this is another game where we get to see Sengoku Gaming did not get the first dragon. They did get the first dragon and lost again. So we need to see Juan and Dejuru, at least from my perspective, have a little bit of a safer bot lane. Obviously, Zyra Khan is probably as safe as it gets when it comes to how you can play it mechanically, but play towards that top side, put some resources into Kai. When you look at how they've been playing, when you look at how much Rift Herald control that they have, that's what I want to see from Sengoku, is when they have a really strong top side in Rush, Hawk, and Kai, that's where I think they shine the best.
Yeah, and it goes back to things that you kind of picked up on from what members of Sengoku Gaming have talked about, Rush and Hawk kind of being the vocal leaders of this team. Now, when we've seen Rush on things like the Lee Sin, a champion that is known for driving tempo, for setting up plays and accelerating the game state, then you can see resources being funneled into members like Kai, like Hawk, or if they decide to actively play the bot lane. However, on Graves, you can skirmish well, but you're really looking to funnel resources on yourself, which is exactly what they did. He had a solid 2,000 gold lead up on Doe, but Doe's playing Nunu. He doesn't care that much. He's playing a tank, he's playing front line, and as long as his damage dealers in Luna and Isaac and Rattel are the ones that are pumping out the damage, he doesn't care.
And now on blue side, what do Sengoku go for? They immediately reach for the Renekton. Something that they had a really big pain point with dealing in the last game, which we saw bits and pieces of, was this Ziggs. Yes, Isaac did get caught a few times, but we saw how influential the Mega Inferno Bomb came to putting Juan at low HP, to making sure that those smaller members of Sengoku had to take forced recalls a lot earlier into the game. So what do Sengoku do here? Do they go for do they immediately reach for it? I expect for them to kind of reach for the jungle now that Lee Sin has been picked. I don't know if they'll go for Graves again. We have to start thinking, where does Jarvan look like in this meta right now?
We saw a fantastic Jarvan game as the closing finale from Trevor on Team Secret. Picked up a triple kill within, an unofficial triple kill within that game. I think he was pretty much deathless in that last game, but Rush, this time around, he's the one that is reaching for the supreme objective control, looking for the consume smite combos, making sure that Sengoku can have first crack and pretty much dominance over objective control.
I mean, Nunu has just been so disgusting throughout the Horizon Cup. This champion has just risen in priority. As soon as we got to see the first game of it, everybody said, oh wow, that's a really good champion. We get Fiora, and I was wondering for Sengoku, they grabbed the Lucian, which obviously is great for Juan if they want for it, but what does it takes away from Luna's champion pool right there? So were we going to see the Corki immediately? And it seems like Rolsters, they picked up on that and grabbed the Fiora, which is, I mean, the exact champion we want to see Rattel on.
And when you have Doe already on this Lee Sin, you're thinking about, okay, what characters are you potentially building for either Luna or Rattel to snowball? And both of these champions are great late game carries, and they need resources funneled into them. They need someone to kind of make that early game bridge so that they can get through the first 10 minutes of the game, get to those 2 item power spikes, and that's when they really start wrecking house. Whether it's a split push in the 1v1 for Rattel, or if it's in those team fights like Luna's.
This will be really interesting. Rolsters, they have final pick here. Looks like they're just going to try and see where the support is going to go. Now that they know that it is Braum for themselves, they've saved this for Salem. Alistar is gone. We still have Rakan available if they want to go for an engage. Nami would obviously be really good with how many melee members they have, but they want Thresh, which, you know, gives them for some pickability. And when you look at Sengoku in this team fight, you can peel off so many different members with that play.
if you can play the Justice Punch, if you can play a Slice and Dice, or even catch out Juan mid-dash with the play as well, those are great options. But I'm not gonna lie to you, Alk Battery. For me, I feel like they're if you wanted to like a tank champion, or if you wanted someone that helps with engage or disengage,
you could probably get something better, right? Like,
yeah.
That's why Thresh is usually just so popular. He does a lot of great things all at once. But if you really want someone who's like an expert class champion at one thing or another, there's always going to be that best-in-class spot. But Salem, obviously, on this Thresh does offer a lot of assistance, either engaging or disengaging. And when you look at Sengoku, they really, really need to team fight. They need to find victory here, because you're looking at Rolsters, and you've got two side laners in the Diana and the Fiora who can be very flexible if we come to team fights.
Yeah, majority of Sengoku Gaming's power is in the 5-on-5. I mean, you've got powerful team fighting ultimates, Hero's Entrance, Absolute Zero, Glacial Fissure. Hell, Dominus is great for just soaking up damage when Kai is attempting to look for those flanks. My only concern is for the side of Sengoku Gaming is, I know Galio can deal a decent amount of damage in the late game, and I know that if I say that Galio doesn't do damage, then TJ might just come from behind the green room and start punching me.
I mean, Galio does a lot of damage. Like, that full AP build from mid lane, it hurts. The Winds of War will find you, and they will take you down.
But when I'm talking about sustained damage, it really is down to Juan. So, that Juan has to be protected at all costs. This is a get down Mr. President composition. They are protecting him.
The MVP.
Yeah, they the VIP, I would even say. You know, if Juan goes down, I feel like the rest of this composition
just blows up at that point.
It
They're
just
done.
collapses. It's a bad time for Sengoku Gaming. Whereas for Rolster Y, they have multiple carries, and they have plenty of ways to play through it. Their 5-on-5 won't be as strong as Sengoku Gaming, granted, but the split push pressure from Rattel as Rest and the rest of Rolster have just many avenues to play through as well.
Rolsters have given themselves what I consider a very flexible draft, many options to kind of how they want to be able to win a game. And for Sengoku, they may have pigeonholed themselves a little too much, especially early on with that Renekton first pick. Level 1s, baby!
Hey, Doe, I mean, he's just trying to farm his Krugs. And Sengoku Gaming are not going to force a flash out. They're not going to take him down, but they will put him off the back foot. And considering that Lee Sin, it is so crucial for him to start the early game off with such high octane gameplay, this puts Doe kind of on the back foot.
For a little bit, right? It's a lot. They took a long time for him to do this. Hopefully with Rush, when you're looking at this Nunu, you're talking about how fast he can clear the bot lane for Rolsters. They don't know what to do here. They don't have any wards. Salem, he's just going to face check. Winter's Bite just misses. Flay is there. They got the red buff. Walk it out, boys. Just smile and wave.
He was kind of zooming around. It's like, I wonder where these guys are.
Where are they? The red buff isn't there.
Yeah, it seemed like a Scooby-Doo mystery all of a sudden. And then he's like, oh, God, I found them. And
Get in the mystery van, boys. Run.
Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh. Well, not much doing here, Rafa. They already knew that the bot lane for Sengoku Gaming was here in the Baron lane, so they just moved on through. They did the rotations. That hook happened, and for right now, I mean, we're talking about, hey, let's get Rift Herald control. You know how you do that? You just put your Dragon Lane duo up there. Make sure that you always have the ability to fight for it in a few minutes.
You know, Sengoku, we're aware potentially of the fact that, like, hey, every time we go for first dragon, it doesn't really go greatly for us in the game, but we still want to play through Juan and Dejawu. So how do we put the 2 and 2 together? You just flip the side of the board.
Oh, take a look at this. Doe was not spotted. He did use the sweeper ward, so he wasn't seen here. And Hawk, not level 5 yet, so he's going to try and steal versus Nunu. Is down a huge level. Oh! He didn't get it!
Oh, no, wait, I don't think he got it. He only has blue buff. Doe has to get the hell out of there.
Run!
You can't compete with the Nunu smite. It was a beautiful attempt, but unfortunately, Doe, high variance gameplay does not come out this time for you, my friend.
You said this is beautiful. That's a little bit dark and twisted. This is not the fantasy I wanted to be a part of. Doe, I don't know if that's really what you want to do. You're down levels now. You're up against Nunu. You're on that timer that we were talking about, right? How fast Nunu can contest for objectives, how fast he can clear through his jungle. Doe is looking for avenues to get back into this game gold-wise, but it's just not working.
You know, it's one of those plays where you look back on it. If it works, Doe looks like a genius.
Yeah, but then it also backfires, and it's like, oh no, we forced the flash as well from the Lee Sin, which is just painful to see.
And going for that play means one of two things. One, Doe is communicating with his team and is basically getting the information that none of these lanes are gankable, and so therefore he has to look for another avenue of getting himself an advantage over Rush, or Doe is just ready to flip it, you know? He's like, you know what? I got this.
You know, we're seeing it now too, where he went to go for an invade, tried to steal the early blue buff, and then said, oh no, I don't have any lane priority. I actually can't do this. Doesn't have a red buff, can try to take his Krugs. They're trying to find something on a Salem. Maybe Doe has a kick here, but they're just constantly invading.
Yeah, they don't want Doe to be able to play the game.
Take the enemy jungler out.
They recognize that Doe had so much pressure last time, but the way that Rush is playing this game, even though he's not an early game champion, he's being super oppressive right now, preventing buffs from being secured by Rolster. Juan being brought over here as well, trying to force out Rolster. And Rolster, they want to fight back. Salem connects with the death sentence on the 2 with the flay, throws down the box, but has the flash out. Isaac now with the moonfall on the 3, but there's no damage follow-up. The absolute zero is going to be huge. The taunt lands on the 3.
Wait,
That's first blood for Sengoku, but do they have damage to follow back up? Hero's entrance lands on the Salem. The knock-up. Salem's so critically low, but Doe wants to go back in. What the hell is happening? Calm down.
Oh my god, what are they doing? There's just not enough damage. Everybody's fighting low. Rattel's about to get solo kill.
There's action everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This is Wild Rift at its best.
We're going to game 2 here, right? We're talking about game 1 jitters. They're completely out of the window, right? Sengoku Gaming and Rolster Y, they just want to keep on fighting. They said, we are fighting to the death every single objective. They're trying to counter jungle. They're trying to take away Doe's ability to be in this game. And the fights are just non-stop. We saw so many individual skirmishes right there.
We got a moment to breathe.
Woo!
We got to calm down. Stop it, Doe. Stop it.
Get some help. Don't do that.
I see you being fancy with the Lee Sin mechanics. I know. I like to do that too. However, you're giving me a heart attack. We're not even through the second game of the series yet.
It's 5.5 minutes. It's that fast-paced, wilder esport coming here for a Wild Rift, but should be the Rift Herald. Sengoku, they recognize this is a little bit dicey. Don't know if we really want to do this. Their bot lane can make a movement at any time. You are playing Nunu Rush, right? You do have that consume. Take a look. What does Rush do? Does he want to try and make a pick here? He does have the Dragon's Rage kick. And Rattel and Kai are on the way. Rolster's looking to try and stake their early game here on this.
But look at the rest of the rotation of Rolster. They realize that they cannot compete with Consume Smite. They're starting up the Dragon, 4k HP on the objective right now. But Rush is rolling in with that grand snowball. Doe has to get over the wall. Glacial Fissure, the snowball knock up. Salem with a beautiful dark passage will save his jungler. But the other objective that they wanted to go for, they could not burn down in time. And now Sengoku get both Rift Herald and the Dragon.
It's the early game that we're still talking about, right? Because Doe is set behind, he's one step behind every single time against Sengoku Gaming. So now they get their cake, they get to eat it too, they get the Rift Herald and the Dragon, and can now set up for a mid play with any of this kind of objective pressure. With that Rift Herald, they can knock down all of these turrets.
And once again, Rush is significantly ahead in gold against Doe. But it's not the type of champions that we would have expected this time around. Last time, Doe was on the Nunu, he was on the tank, and Rush was playing the scaling combat jungler in Graves. But it's Rush on the Nunu against an early game powerhouse like Lee Sin, but the teamwork, the facilitation of the rest of the core cast supporting members of Sengoku Gaming, making that invade happen, and just putting Doe extremely far behind.
It's all about the wonky early game. The fact that Doe was taken out so early, and then specifically Dejiwo, who has had really great positioning so far, linking up with Rush to then take control of that side of the jungle and make it a very uncomfortable matchup as Hawk, he's got the taunt out, flash from Salem.
Nice amount of damage reduction, dodging out on the death sentence as well. Beautiful flash. Huh? I mean, clean stuff. trying to mitigate all of the burst damage, the crucial ones from Isaac, but Doe is here, potentially looking for a pick.
They've got the Rift Herald. They need to make this play. If Rolsters cannot find this turret, if they cannot find this kill, they're going to lose out on so much and now collapse around the mid lane. Sengoku Gaming, got to be careful. Take this turret, recall, or you're going to fall really heavily here.
Yeah, Sengoku forced the hands of Doe and Rattel, knowing that had they not responded, that could have been more than just that first tier turret going down.
This is such an interesting game, Rafa, where Rolsters, it feels like they're a little lost now on the Wild Rift, right? They don't know what to do. They can't make proactive plays like we've seen in their other games, and without a really clear objective lead somewhere out onto the map, they look like they're just kind of running around trying to find something and unable to do so. Just kick them out. Nope, nope, you're not stunning me under the turret. Away. I want the plate.
Crocodile, get! I feel like you coming from Florida have a lot of experience with gator pests.
Yes, gators are not invasive, but definitely annoying to deal with when you go out into your back patio and you're just like, oh, this is a pool? Oh, there's a gator in there. Nice. Well, gotta call animal services and get that taken care of. But not happening here for Kai. He is going wherever he pleases, and Rolsters can just do not enough to really keep him away.
Now, I know if you're looking at Doe, he's having not the best time. And it doesn't feel
Definitely
good
not.
to be behind as Lee Sin, especially against a Nunu. But if you look at the rest of the board, Isaac is still farming extremely well, about 1,300 gold against Hawk. Luna is even with Juan. Rattel, about 600 gold ahead of Kai. If you remember that your three carries are the ones that matter the most the later the game goes on, then Rolster are in a decent position to just wait out the game once again.
They can wait out this game. It's going to take a little longer than maybe we would expect just because of how this game has gone so far. Sengoku are consistently applying pressure. And now with the objectives coming up, it is on Rolster to find and engage, find something going on. They have the Corki package, which right now Luna is going to finish, go back to base. Actually cancels the recall, so going to be missing out on a really big timer here with no package and no finished second item. Maybe the red buff is the goal that he's looking for to finish out on Solari Charge Blade, and that's a massive power spike, a wake up here for Corki.
Salem and Isaac are already here just scoping out the area of this Baron Pit. Rift Herald.
Catch out on Salem.
And Rush knocks him up, forcing the flash out. Salem no longer having that summoner spell available. Doe is here, but it's very hard to outsmite Consume Smite as we've already seen in the prior game.
He's gonna go for it.
Okay, Doe, kick, Smite down.
No.
Rush, just too clean with it. Consume Smite. It's an honest and valiant attempt from Doe, but it's just really damn hard to do.
But why go for it, right? There's a whole other objective. We know where the other three members of Sengoku are. They're sitting in mid lane, sitting in that brush. Rolsters, I think, are getting very stubborn right now on the map. They are not going for their objectives. They recognize, wow, this is a frustrating game to go with. And so far, Rush has really just made this game all his own. Stasis comes out from Hawk, will prevent the solo kill there. And Sengoku are getting every single thing to go right for them.
Kai managing to live out on that 1v1. Isaac has just picked up a death cap. So once again, wait a minute.
Hawk is just...
Okay. So check this out.
I'm waiting.
I want
Rush can't do anything here. Rush is simply here for the helping boys. And maybe Doe finds a kill.
I think he really just wants the kill. I think Doe has a personal vendetta. He's feeling a little irked that he got invaded on. He missed out on the buff. He missed out on the dragon.
Isaac?
Isaac's fine. He's got Salem there in his left wing.
Okay.
But, maybe the rest of the team Rolster are saying, hey, Doe, calm down, it's okay. I know it's not fun to be 2,000 gold down against a Nunu, especially as Lee Sin, but you know what? All you gotta do...
Juan?
Oh, that's a lot of damage from both lady carries! Juan comes out victorious, but the rest of... Rattel tries to jump for it! Guys, what's happening? Rolster just losing their minds!
Luna has looked like one of the best marksmen here in the tournament, and Juan just steps up, finally makes a relentless pursuit that is incredibly aggressive, and kills him on the spot. Now this should be Hawk going down. I don't know if they have the pick. Flash out for the Galio.
I don't know. Hawk is pretty tanky. Isaac really wants the kill, but once again, Isaac being thwarted by a stasis. Hawk is able to survive the encounter in 1v3, and look where the rest of the members from Sengoku Gaming are.
They're just blowing up this bot lane. They can take another turret here. Luna is not going to be strong enough to take down these two bruisers. If they want to go for a dive, they can. They're going to leave it expertly low. And now Sengoku Gaming are firmly in control of this game. Juan can solo kill the enemy ADC. Isaac has not found a kill yet, not found his mark. This is a dangerous game to be playing for Rolster.
Yeah, what the story was that we saw from game one between both of these teams, they were extremely patient. Sengoku Gaming and Rolster being able to answer blow for blow until a victorious team fight broke out for Rolster, and they just climbed and clawed their way through the mid-late game. But this time around, Sengoku Gaming, knowing that they cannot just take for chance a late game fight against Rolster, go for the play of trying to put Doe behind, and look at how many unforced errors that Rolster are exhibiting. The pressure is on them, and I feel like they're not in that bad of a state that they think they are.
Yeah, I think they are kind of exaggerating the gold lead, but they're going to kick Dejiwo out.
They got a two-man knockup, but
That's
it's a
one.
front line. You have to worry about one who is just pelting shot after shot in the back line with this Coling. Luna's now free firing on the front line, but Isaac finally finds a moonfall that will connect onto multiple members. But Kai is here. He is the cleanup crew. This Crocodile
That's a
is
triple.
huge, but Isaac got a triple into the back line. Kai suddenly finds himself in the midst of four unfriendly people. Just as we were saying that Rolster, they should stop going for risky fights, they make us eat our words and they ace Sengoku Gaming.
The only way that we've seen them fall is through taking down Rattel. We've got the Axe replay here to see exactly how Rolster win this. The damage is just not here. We're waiting for Galio to come into this fight. Kai is not available. And it is just Rolster's DPS untouched in this. And Isaac blowing up the members before the exhaust comes out is so key for them.
Fool me once,
Shame on me.
fool me twice,
Shame on you.
fool me 3 times. I don't even
blame on you.
I can't stop Rolster and fault them for trying and trying. But, you know, this time around, Doe finds an engage where the rest of Rolster can follow up. And just like that, the gold lead that Sengoku had commanded for themselves is immediately taken aback by Rolster.
And now they have the Baron in their back pocket. They're playing on timers. That right there felt like the last breath that gave Rolster's life back into this game. Beforehand, they were struggling to find anything. They were grasping at straws. And now they're going to get themselves their first drink in the game. They're going to now also have this Baron to push out on waves and force Sengoku to answer them. And now you have a Baron up Fiora that is on the side lane, and not anybody can really face him. Hawk got solo killed last time around. Kai is just barely strong enough. Rolsters, they've scaled. We were talking about being confident in their ability to go later into the game. Both of these teams feeling very sound in their team fight ability. But we're here.
We have a 1v1 into the bottom lane. Rattel against Juan. He
kills him.
Oh, it's a 1v1 traded. Baron laner for Dragon laner. But remember, the rest of the damage from Sengoku Gaming is built upon Juan. Without Juan, there's not a team that can structurally be bound. It's all going to be on Kai. But if they can't get through the front line, Luna can just hit this front line for free. He Valkyries forward. He feels confident. The rest of Rolster, they have his back. They've got the cleanup crew right there. Oh! Despite being down, despite being just put in the dirt in the early game, still comes through. Another ace for Rolster.
And that gold has been cleaned up. We mentioned it earlier into the game, but Isaac had been farming up, had been waiting to really show off his potential in this game. And the late game here for Rolster kicks in. Unable to deal with Isaac's Diana, unable to really shut down and prevent Luna from being able to pump out that damage. It leads to Rolster opening up an inhibitor and looking to end the game.
Juan is going to try to do his best to defend this.
He's just gone.
He gets deleted. Rolster just like that. It takes one team fight in the late game, no matter how far behind they are, to put themselves back into a commanding positions, and with that, they move to match point.
Rolsters, they probably don't feel very good about how that game started. They're going to be down on themselves, but Sengoku are also going to be looking back at that and saying, how did we lose that? How did we fall so far from our commanding position halfway through that game? like you said at the end there, it took one fight. It took one end game call from Isaac to go in on this Diana and completely sweep it away from them.
I think Iraqi Zoro said it best on the analyst desk. It's like, no matter how many times you try, Rolster always find just that one fight, that one pick, and suddenly the early game lead that Sengoku Gaming might have had, or the deficit that Rolster were experiencing, it just goes out the window. Like,
Disappears.
I can't flip this desk, but I want to flip the table. It just because that's just what happens. Because the expectations that are set there every single time,
they lose it.
Yeah.
They lost the dice roll. It's the lucky crit, the lucky roll for a 20 that, you know, gets Rolster in. I will say, they've obviously set themselves up for success, and in Sengoku, who's not really pushing the tempo of the game. Yes, they're taking the Baron, or the Rift Heralds are taking the Dragons, they're getting kills, but they're not taking the turrets. They're not taking structures and forcing pressure onto an inhibitor turret. And that's where we see them not able to break open the game. Sengoku now at match point. Let's see if they could get a reverse sweep, or we see another 3-0 here in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Sengoku Gaming backs against the wall. Meanwhile, KT Rolster are one win away from advancing to the semifinals. For more on Game 2, let's hear it from the State Farm Analyst Desk with Debo and the crew.
Thank you very much, Rafa. What a game and what a series it's shaping up to be so far. Rolster with a win number 2, but it was not easy to start here. Riku, this draft is where we started. And what shaped up here that really caught your eye?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, this is the first time we've seen in a while where they put all their eggs on the one basket, because Huck and Rush have always been swapping dynamics. One plays utility, one will play the carry, and vice versa. But they put him on a Lucian as the, you know, single consistent damage dealer for this composition. So there's a lot of trust on one for this draft.
Yeah, and Rolster Y feel like they don't need to focus any bans at all towards Kai. And I can understand why, because Rattel on paper looks so much better. But I know I keep repeating myself, when you're playing against a player who is prone to making mistakes, you want to force them on something that is more skill expressive and requires higher level of play. And given Kai Renekton over and over does take one of the main win conditions that Rolster Y do have. And now instead they have to play a much closer game throughout.
Yeah, they definitely did. And it started with a crazy invade. So, Rocky, just walk us through what happens to Lee Sin when Nunu comes in with his homies and just bullies them all the way off.
Yeah, a lot of credit goes to Sengoku for their grade level 1 plan. That's exactly what you need to do in a series like this, where you are the underdog. You want to go for some cheese. You want to surprise your opponents and do things that will give you unexpected advantages. They set Doe really far behind, and they continue to invade him. And they also did it to lane swap their bot and top to deny Fiora setting up a wave to dive the Renekton, since Fiora does have Prio in that lane, and they do have the Lee Sin who can follow up really easily. So excellent early game plan for Sengoku that saved them a lot of pain, yet still not enough to take down Rolster Y.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, was really excited to see how this playstyle was very reminiscent of what they did during the Japan Cup finals against Unsold Stuff Gaming, where they constantly roamed from lane to lane with one, Deji will farm the wave and see if they can get a kill with an addition of, again, the jungle invade. But it looked pretty great early, but at the same time, it felt like RY was fine because all they had to do was survive the air quote laning phase that they experienced, and they're still gonna out-team fight you know, Sengoku Gaming, and the win condition for their team fight is if you kill one of the Lucian, you basically kill Sengoku's win condition, as he's the only consistent damage dealer for the squad.
Well, speaking of Juan on the Lucian, it's time for our State Farm assist of the game, and it goes to Sengoku with that crazy engage in the mid lane that Juan did, but was supported by the Galio and the Braum.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have it coming up right now. That was a great taunt by Galio. It was overall really well played. Also, the ult following up, they get a kill and leave this fight, I'm pretty sure, without having anyone die. The other play that you are mentioning is the one where Lucian mechanically outplayed really hard in the mid lane, and it shows a lot of confidence for Juan to go for a play like that. Really impressive stuff, and now it makes him more excited for the Dragon Lane matchup between him and Luna, since both of them are stepping up.
Yeah, I did challenge it. I was saying, hey, Juan, you got to step up. Luna definitely took center stage in that one, but unfortunately wasn't quite enough. And you think about that mid-jungle duo, we've been talking about Rush and Hawk. Well, they're running out of games to get it right. We're stepping away for a quick break, but on the other side, we'll have Game 3 of this series. And while you wait, take a listen to KT Rolster's battle anthem, Tiny Riot by Sam Ryder. You can find that and all the other teams' anthems by going to the Wild Rift profile and the official Horizon Cup playlist on Spotify.
It's invisible, but it's always with you. It's the defender of your decisions, the bodyguard of your buffs, the guardian of your greatness on the Rift. It's the Cisco Network, powering every epic moment at the Horizon Cup, so you can go wild on the Rift.
Welcome back. We're gearing up for match point in the semifinal series between KT Rolster Y and Sengoku Gaming. Alk Battery, last time in our other quarterfinal series, we saw Team Secret had the 2-0 over SBTC, and we thought that maybe there was a comeback potential, and then Team Secret said, nope, it's a sweep. Are we getting a sweep here?
You gotta think there is, right? You gotta feel the power of Rolster Y. There's a reason why they went 3-1 in their groups. They were almost undefeated in that one, but you're going against Sengoku Gaming, who a lot of the players themselves, speaking in interviews, just even before this match, we're talking about, hey, we're coming in looking at experience. We're talking about how experienced this roster for Sengoku Gaming is already. They're just looking to see, hey, what can we gain from the Horizon Cup? What can we learn here in Wild Rift so that in other international tournaments we can take that with us and continue to grow as a team?
We head into the draft right now, Alk Battery. This is where every move from Sengoku Gaming from now on has to be successful. It has to lead to another small victory, into another small victory that snowballs into future game wins, because every game now is just as vital as the next.
Every game counts. Right there. That's the hashtag there if you're a Sengoku Gaming fan. Go on Twitter, every game counts. Also hashtag Horizon Cup. Get us tagged in there. Sengoku Gaming, we're talking also about snowballs. What is the fate of Nunu? It's not first pickable, but both of these teams have really shown a high priority, and we've seen it time and time again being a monster in the game.
And for Rolster, when the Lee Sin is not one of the few champions banned, they are the ones prioritizing it, making sure that it is not in Rush's hands, because the fact that Rush was able to do that much damage, combining the rest of his friends on this roster into just pushing Doe out of the game. You can only imagine what would have happened if he had something like the Lee Sin instead. And this time, Rush is not piloting the Nunu, because more than likely, this Camille is going into the jungle for him.
It has to be, right? It has to just be Camille jungle. So playing something we've only gotten a few looks at so far in the Horizon Cup. I think 2 in particular, one from the last series and one during the group stage. So they're also putting a huge focus on this Lucian, wanting to make sure that Luna does not have that aggressive marksman that can really turn the game around for him.
And when we look at what was pivotal for Rolster in turning that last fight around, it was Isaac's Diana here. The Moonfall catching 3 people. The fact that Rolster are getting a majority of their composition that helped them win game 2 right here spells good things to come if you're a Rolster fan.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried here because Dejiwo in that same interview I was talking about earlier, Dejiwo was talking about that Braum that they ended up playing, I think, in their Ebro series, and he said, well, I didn't have a lot of practice on this champion compared to that of the Alistar, so it's very hard to engage that he found in the game, and especially for Sengoku, they need that damage. We looked at that last roster, we looked at the last game there, and the analyst has touched upon it. Rush and Hawk, the main duo for this team to really carry them. A lot of trust was put into their bot lane to be able to kind of carry out the game. You have that Galio, you had the Nunu, and they weren't huge damage threats. Hawk had actually gone for a little bit more of a tankier build on the Galio, so a lot of that damage was missing, and now we're seeing something that I think allows for a little bit more proactivity, where Rush is again the main carry for them.
Yeah, Kai was kind of a secondary carry.
Yes.
There's a couple of times that he found beautiful flanks. Was able to find one carry from Rolster, but in that last team fight, or in this last composition as well as this one, because it's pretty much the same thing, there are multiple carries. You take one, there are 3 more heads that are just sprouted up ready to deal with you as well. So for Sengoku Gaming, they've now invested a little bit more carry resources into picking up this Camille for Rush, and knowing how much they played for jungle priority, how much resources they gave up in their individual lanes just to put them ahead of Doe, you can only imagine that if they're able to do something similar in Game 3, that it should pay off with more dividends this time around.
If we're looking at it just from a plane, just looking at the composition dead again, this is still a pretty similar comp, although with a little bit more engage, right? The Nunu can engage, but it's not the way that I would want them to go for it if you're on the side of Sengoku Gaming. And we're looking at early game aggression. Camille with that hook shot can be dangerous. But without that consume, do we see the same story come out from Sengoku? I don't think so. I think Rolsters, we already saw that given enough patience, given them a kind of a one window to make their game, make their shot, they took it and ran with it and instantly ended that. And we may have a repeat performance here sans the early game deficit they found themselves in.
I mean, Doe flipped twice for objectives that he didn't need to go for. Didn't win the challenge. And it still didn't matter in terms of a Sengoku Gaming victory because Rolster still pulled ahead through an incredibly powerful team fight.
So I do want to say, it did matter. Sengoku were winning that game until Rolsters decided you're no longer winning this game, right? So
That's the same thing!
No, okay, because I don't want to get rid of what Sengoku did in the early game.
Sure,
I don't want to, rub away the fact that Sengoku just kind of like instantly lost and they were like, oh, whatever, we just didn't do anything for 15 minutes because they were ahead. They were winning out on objective trades. And then it was just Rolster who found a window playing around Vision, playing around Fog of War, and it was off that kick and then Isaac coming in as a 1-2 punch that led to them winning that game too.
Well, Doe, I'm looking at this player in particular because throughout that first 10 minutes, a lot of those unforced errors that were coming out, I couldn't tell if they were genuinely thinking, okay, this is the correct play, we should go for these flips are good for us, or if it was just driven by tilt. But the fact that Doe is still able to manufacture an incredible kick onto the front line, I can't really tell whether he was tilted or not. It just seems like he was just determined to always make a play.
Well, here's 2 things now. Now that we have a very similar draft to Game 2, now we'll get to see exactly what drove that. And probably in the post-game interview, if we get to hear from Rolsters, that will more than likely get an answer for you from there. But we are here in Game 3, Rafa. This is potentially the last game of the quarterfinals. We could only have 6 games and have our semifinals decided. But it's up to Sengoku to keep their dreams alive here.
We have seen so far 5 games in today's first knockout stage. Now, I know Smacks over in the green room would like to see 1 win from Sengoku Gaming just so he can be shouting from the back room, we're going to a Game 6 Poggers.
We are technically in the Game 6 Poggers. This is the Game 6.
Oh, you're right.
This is counting is not usually Caster's strong suit, and it happens.
It's not the play-by-play.
Yeah. My counting has been really bad
We just
sometimes.
shout at things and, things go burr on the screen.
Basically.
The color caster usually fills in the details.
Oh, Hawk is dead.
Doe, woo! Doe with first blood on the mid lane. Hawk is going to go down. Rush here to assist, but he doesn't have hookshot anymore, so Doe and Isaac will be able to walk out safely.
No early game interference means that Doe can enter the mid lane, force the flash away from Hawk, who has gone for a more aggressive build. It's the Aftershock, but has Ignite this time, wanting to take control and make sure that Isaac is forced on recalls, maybe make him lose a little bit of experience. This is rather dangerous here as we see Doe just Sonic Wave, instantly kill. No kill for Rush on the backside, and that should open up the early game here for Rolster.
The rest of Rolster have transitioned their momentum from the mid lane into the dragon part of the lane. No summoners were burned onto Juan or Deja Vu, but a little bit of pressure makes them lose out on some experience, some gold here. And now Rolster, the pressure is already being spread out.
Nothing really going. Again, this is something that I think Araki Zoro brought up on the desk as well. If you do not insert some cheese into this game, if you don't insert a wacky strategy to try to get Rolsters off of their comfortable foot, then really you lose out on a lot. And Sengoku will just slowly lose out on this. They are down gold right now, and while it is a simple first blood for them, it allows now for Isaac to have that small advantage and continue to grow that lead. Now that he does have ultimate, you can maybe look for something once you recall and come back out onto the map.
And what kind of cheese are we talking about? We're talking about Gouda, maybe some mozzarella.
You're gonna need some really fine cheese, like something like
Brie?
Maybe a brie, maybe something a little bit more, a little sharper in my mind.
Ooh, I am a big fan of Irish chip. Like, it has a really sharp taste to it. Meanwhile, this isn't necessarily cheese, just a little bit of a gank fight, but double ultimates from Isaac and Doe. Moonfall into the Dragon's Rage. Hawk and Deja Vu were trying to go for the 2-1 punch onto Isaac, but it's them that turn it around.
We called for it. They said on the reset, look for a kill. And now with 30 seconds before the Dragon and the Rift Herald, they're in prime position. Rolsters, they saw that second game and said, we took that personally. Let's make sure we stomp you here in game 3. Commanding leads from the mid-jungle here of Rolster Y, and now going to open up the rest of the map as they continue to kill Hawk.
There's something super cool here. I have to hold it because there's a lot of spooky members from the side of Sengoku Gaming looking to
Got 10 seconds,
push Isaac, but check this out. Doe, first item completion is actually this Umbral Glaive. We know how incredibly important vision control is, and this item, while sacrificing a little bit of combat power, still gives a little bit of lethality, and just enough while also gaining the extra sweeper trinket, so that between sweeper and this item, you have the ability to deny so much vision coverage from Sengoku Gaming.
Now, Mark, look at this timer, right? We're talking about starting up the Rift Herald. Immediately, Sengoku, they just take what is a very strong bot side and just open up for that first Drake. But it is 3 games now where they've gotten the first Drake, and they've lost all the first 2 here. They lost the other one that happened in the group stage. I don't tend to, really dive deep into how stats change a game. That is really important. It's a fun trend to follow.
Rolster are dedicating 3 members to this push. Rift Herald. Hero's entrance from Hawk is going to assist on to Kai. He's already popped Dominus as well, but the first brick has been taken down. Luna is also here. I believe he has packages available, but...
that is just Isaac dying to Rush. Flash, barrier, gets run down out of the turret, is not able to kill Camille, so... I mean, that's good for Sengoku. That means that side lane threat that usually Isaac kind of is currently down a little bit in gold.
And that's something that Sengoku Gaming desperately need in this game particularly, right? As we're going to see in this replay, Isaac actually attempts to trade onto Juan.
Oh, I think he just gets it, yeah.
Well, he does get it. He flashes away as well, but Rush is going to follow him up and blocks him down with that Hextech ultimatum. The fact that Rush can be a split push threat now, because you look at Isaac and you look at Rattel, if they don't want to opt in for team fights, they're always going to be pressuring Sengoku in the side lanes. But if Rush is stronger than both of them individually, then that's another avenue that Sengoku can play for.
That does mean that Rush will have to start teleport though, which is a little bit problematic. Doe goes in, safeguards out. Are they going to keep going for this? Juan's here.
He has to flash away. Has to respect the damage coming out from Juan.
Oh, very, very close, because I saw Luna was also making their way down into this fight. They wanted to see if they could do something on the river. Hawk has just been the constant pain point for Sengoku right now. We're talking about how pivotal he is in terms of the comms, in terms of leading this team to victory. But Rolsters Y see that as well and try to constantly make him, under their thumb.
A little bit of trade of ultimates from Juan. Luna having to get out with the Valkyrie. No more pulling. Oh.
Exhaust down.
Rattel might be in a bad spot here. You got 3 bogeys right below you, forcing the flash out. But it does mean that Rattel is going to be able to escape safely, but he's down to summoners.
Whoa. I saw Doe there, safeguard forward. As an AD carry, all you can feel as soon as you see him safeguard forward, you're like, I'm about to get kicked into a wall, aren't I, Squidward? Oh, Kai with the flash. He's out. He clears out the wave, but just telling just how powerful Isaac is right now. Even with that kill, still constantly asserting pressure.
Yeah, something that we want to note while we have a chance. This is the first time this series where Rolster have a significant gold lead this early on into the game. Usually Sengoku Gaming have had a substantial lead, not too much, but they've just been slowly kind of pushing themselves forward into the game. But Rolster, they're the ones ahead. They're the ones in command of the map. And now you have to wonder, you know, Sengoku Gaming, are they gonna be able to make a comeback through 5-on-5 team fighting, or is it gonna actually be rushed through the side?
Sengoku Gaming are having a really hard time, I think, finding proactive fights. Galio is great for reacting to that. Braum doesn't have many tools other than the Glacial Fissure. So without that Alistar that we see for Dejiwo, they're missing out on a lot of it. Can they find it? I mean, just Doe is so flexible with this safeguard. They're going to try and poke out the different members, but for right now, the Dragon's going to spawn soon. In the next 15 seconds, we could see a potential reset. And now Sengoku, they're herded over to this Dragon. Isaac is farming away.
Oh, but they blocked down Luna. Hextech Ultimatum using in tandem with the rest of Sengoku Gaming members there. They assassinate the Dragon Laner for Rolster. So a little bit of gold going back over to the pockets of Sengoku Gaming as we get more objective spawns.
So it's good for Sengoku in the fact that they got a kill, but so many ultimates are down. The double summoners for Juan are not here, and with Valkyrie available for Luna, he can get to this fight incredibly quickly, so it allows for Rolsters to get the Dragon. And the Rift Hill's being started by Sengoku. Luna could walk all the way over there.
Yeah, and Luna can potentially threaten.
Oh no, it's just gone.
Okay.
It's just gone. Never mind. They have Lucian. They have Camille. It's just true damage. They're going to break up in this top side with the Rift Herald immediately. Try to trade on the opposite side.
Oh, man.
Hawk.
Doe just kicking Hawk in the face of a Justice Punch. It gets the flash out. Hawk will be able to survive, but this turret will not. And Rolster continuing to push their lead further.
Luna, can they get his flash? Can they get the Valkyrie here? They're going to put down the Rift Herald, and potentially they can make a dive. You see right now, Kai's over the wall. Could potentially go for that. Isaac is here, so on the way out with all that vision, the turret is going to go down. They're going to make two trades here. They take both the tier 1 and top and mid, gives them a little bit gold now just to get back in reach and striking distance of Rolsters.
Check this out.
Okay.
Despite the early game from Doe, he had a massive influence with the first 2 kills picked up. It's about a solid 1,000 gold lead against Rush.
Yes.
Now look where Rush is. He's the one is starting to eclipse in gold lead right now. He has the Trinity Force. He's working towards what I believe is going to be a Death Stance, maybe a Blade of the Ruin King.
I was going to say, it may be Blade of the Ruin King.
He needs to be that substantial side lane threat, right? Salem finds
Deji's
the hook
dead?
onto Deja. He is Braum. He's quite tanky.
Oh, he's going in!
The re-engage from Rush. Hero's entrance right onto Salem. That's going to be a beautiful pitch for the rest of Sengoku Gaming. Can they find more? Luna's able to disengage with the Valkyrie. Doe also have the safeguard as well. Dragon's Rage was used in that scuffle as well. Rolster not losing too much there, but still, Sengoku Gaming are going to take whatever they can find.
Wrong support there, my bad. It was Salem who ends up going down, right? They lock him up and they can't get him out. And it gives them a perfect timer as well. Ratel's not able to get that wave into a really dominant position up against that turret. So Kai comes back in time, catches this wave. Ratel's thinking about it, does have the red buff. If Kai stays here with no stun, Renekton is going to be under a lot of duress to try and do something in this Baron lane.
Sengoku, they have found a way to minimize the gold deficit against Rolster. And the later the game goes, they are not completely down and out when it comes to late game team fighting. There's four members onto Ratel right now. Juan is flashing forward, trying to close the distance between him and Ratel. He pops the Grand Challenge for the extra movement speed. He already burned the flash as well. Ratel will make his survival escape, but you look at the rest of the members of Rolster, they are making moves on the other side of the map.
Again, pulling Sengoku around the map. They say, oh, you try to go for Ratel. He doesn't go down. He invests the flash so that the rest of his team can continue to get Sengoku into very uncomfortable spots. And with such a long lane now in the bot lane, it's going to be dangerous here for the side of Sengoku. How do they come back into this? They can't really invest a lot of side lane, and it means that Hawk, I think, now has to invest in being in bot lane for most of the game, especially now against Dragon. Someone else might have to pick up teleport in this case, but you really want to try and have stasis if possible for them.
Next objective isn't spawning for about a minute and a half. Sengoku Gaming want to be in prime position to look to catch out one of these members here. They still have ultimate abilities from all members. Look for this Hextech ultimatum into Heroes End combo once again. Luna! Ooh! Sub 50 HP will be able to make it out alive. Only had to burn the heal on the back end.
Okay, but again, those are summoner spells going down. Sengoku are fishing for something. Can they find Rattel? They're going for it.
But he riposte the Hextech ultimatum,
God.
so it doesn't get locked up, but there's still too much crowd control from the rest of the supporting cast of Sengoku Gaming. Rolster now have to fight this upcoming objective without a Baron Lane.
Hands are clean. He has the teleport, so if they can stall this out, Sengoku have not been ones to rush an objective. And Rolsters, with how long they've made this bot lane, again, still have pressure. They need to answer the Baron lane. And you see right now, they're not even in position. They still have Corki package here. If they want, Luna can cut off the rest of Sengoku and allow for Rolsters to take this objective. He can TP right now.
Yeah,
Rattel's up.
Dragon spawns. Rattel, does he have teleport available?
He's pinging for it.
Looks like, oh yeah, he's looking for the flank
There
right
it is.
behind them. Watch for the package. This could be huge for Rolster. This could be the game-ending fight. But Luna gets CC'd. He doesn't even get to use the package to be an engaged tool. He has to get out. He doesn't contribute to the team fight. Look at Sengoku Gaming. They're on the forward. They have found... Wait, they didn't find anyone. One is the only one of the members that died. That looks so good for Sengoku Gaming, but all of Rolster made it out alive.
They were blinking HP bars, but a kill's not a kill. They're not able to connect onto anybody. Luna gets out. They go over the wall. Rattel chases out on one. And as good as it starts to look for the side of Sengoku, they got some nice cooldowns. If they would have backed out then, maybe we would be looking at a better state for Sengoku. But Rolsters expertly play that team fight, are not able to redeploy out onto the map, and this should be their dragon to take.
And now it's Rolster that are in position to take this dragon. Sengoku Gaming can only watch because there's no way to be able to contest now.
They just... Okay, well, that just happened. Sengoku, I don't know what exactly, like the damage dealers were not there. Juan was having to deal with Rattel the entire time. So Rolsters, just the hands are right there. Finally gets the ult off, kicked out, Kai's here.
But this time the CC lockdown is too much for Doe to escape from the clutches of Sengoku Gaming. Now there is a jungler down for 30 seconds. They're looking for more. Taunt onto Salem. Rush, can he look for more onto Luna? He's gonna be able to get out.
Oh, Isaac!
Isaac looking for more. He finds Rush. The stasis pops out, but I don't think he's getting out of this one alive. It's another Crescent Strike, and now Isaac making his getaway. I think he's getting out. Kai's also there, but Isaac is now, he's flaunting right in front of all three of them.
He's level 13, he's got the barrier, he's got ultimate. Come mess with the mid laner of Rolster Y, see what happens. Sengoku playing around Rush. Rush is so aggressive. Look at the items he's completed. Guardian Angel, the Death Stance that we mentioned earlier. He's had a lead in a lot of these games. We're talking about the Graves from Game 1, the Nunu in Game 2, and now here playing an ultra-aggressive bruiser and assassin in this Camille. He is playing with everything out on the line to make sure that Sengoku Gaming can have a window into this game, can finally close out a game for them in this series.
Juan has Sorrel Discroach available, so the culling can be a great utility poke spell, landing a lot of damage. Whoa.
It was from Fog of War. It's, you know, Thresh is definitely a much harder champion here on the Wild Rift.
I was scared for Deja, you know? I was like, oh god, imagine if he taking a step too close to the left. Kai might be caught out here. Doe.
Dominus pops.
Salem. Forces the ultimate. Luna getting locked up here. Glacial Fissure. Everyone is just piling down, and Luna is gone.
He's down.
Rolster,
Isaac.
Moonfall from the engage, the counter re-engage, but Isaac has to flash away. Doe will go down. Sengoku Gaming find an advantageous fight, and now can they burn down this Baron in time?
That's their Baron. It has to be. Rattel's on the side. Can he make that 1v9 play? There's no Luna. There's no smite for them. They're going for it!
Yeah, Rushlo finds Isaac once again, but he's already taken out Kai.
What are
he's
they doing?
Got a double, but Rattel's just running through. What the hell is this? Rolster in a 3v5 will find Rush. They will ace Sengoku Gaming.
Rattel with a massive carry performance. Him and Isaac have been fantastic to watch throughout the Horizon Cup, and it stops the Baron for Sengoku. Not able to lock down the Fiora and the Diana, and now a TP here from Doe. This is going to be the Baron yet again for Rolsters.
I am absolutely floored, Alk Battery, and we'll definitely have to take another look.
Oh my god. Like, what is happening right now, Rafa? They were in prime position to go for it, and Sengoku were just not able to clear it up. We were talking about their fundamentals, how they set up for objectives, but they just weren't able to lock down the star carry that we've been looking at in Rattel.
They didn't even have Moonfall available from Isaac. I think the only ultimate ability that was available was Rattel's Grand Challenge, and that was enough. The way that he just weaved in and out, picking off numbers one by one. I mean, we talked about before, when you get to this part of the game as a Fiora, it is one of the best team fighters, surprisingly, because you never think about how difficult it is to connect all those vital procs, but the way that Rattel can just lunge forward and just take out numbers one by one, and he did it beautifully.
He is masterful at these carry champions. It's why we love to see him on things like the Camille and now on the Fiora, the Riven as well. He's pushing, they've got Baron, and if they want, they have a backup win condition in the Dragon here, going on the rush. Rolsters, they're pushing onto the map. They've got an inhibitor now for themselves. And Goku, they're looking at getting 3-0'd in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Rolster are keeping a lot of the attention of Sengoku Gaming in this mid lane, whereas Rattel has already done work and unlocked the inhibitor turret through the Baron lane, and now this Elder Soul is on the line here. If Rolster secures this, this has to be the series.
It has to be, and look at this. They're trying to go for something. Rush is here. They're looking the opposite side of the map, but Rattel in the picture-in-picture. He's level 15. He has the Baron. He has the Guardian Angel. Deji Woo!
Deji Woo burning down to a crisp. Ignite is there. The Sonic Wave not going to connect. Rush now looking for the hero play. X-Tech ultimatum onto the back line. Hero's entrance will connect as well. Multiple knockouts, multiple taunts. Everyone from Rolster is getting stunned up here. But Rush, can he be the sole survivor? He needs to be in the carry here. A teleport is coming in from Deji Woo, but it's now up to him and Juan. He needs to be able to deal with it. No! That is it! Rolster Y in a 3-game series sweep will answer the call from Sengoku Gaming, send them home, and advance to the knockout stage for the semifinals.
Rolster Y, congrats on doing it. They're going to go up against Thunder Talk Gaming. But damn, do they look good. It was one of the teams that we were looking at potentially could push these Chinese representatives once we get to the knockout stage. And it's hard to look. Sengoku Gaming, it's so happy to see them still have some spirit. They've been one of the kind of the favorites when playing with the camera. I'm glad that they can keep themselves in high spirits, but Rolster Y looked dominant going into the knockout stage and kind of have shored up some of those questions, at least for me, when it comes to closing out games. The decision-making seems a little bit tighter this time around.
One of the bigger questions that we were asking about Rolster Y was this team a team that was in a strong region and was clearly the best one, or were all their undefeated series an indication of being a top-heavy team in a region that wasn't as strong compared to the likes of Southeast Asia, compared to the likes of China? When you look at this roster and how they dismantled Sengoku Gaming, a formidable team in their own right representing Japan, you have to wonder that they can be someone that Thunder Talk Gaming have to respect.
They are the only team to have taken a game in that WCK versus WPL, China versus Korea kind of rift rivals that we saw. They were the only team to take a game off of a Chinese representative, and it shows here that they are here to play. They said that we will not be happy unless we take the title and are pushing for a grand finals appearance. And they're not messing around. We were talking about how serious Rolster tend to take games. Well, here in the quarterfinals, they made sure, clean it up, make sure that we're playing tight Wild Rift. And they did a fantastic job. I want to applaud them. And again, going into that semifinals, they look really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. I think Rolster just got better and better at the further they went on in the tournament. And I think the other thing that is super exciting that we didn't get a chance to glimpse within this series is there are many more champions that Rattel can actually pull out. If you got a chance to watch the WCK, the champion that I knew Rattel the most for was his Aurelia. And we haven't seen that at all during this Horizon Cup tournament at all. It's been Fiora, it's been Riven, it's been Camille, it's been Renekton, But if he busts out the Aurelia against Thundertalk, then you know we're going to be in for a treat.
Rattel wanting to make sure that his team makes it to semifinals, and that Fiora play is probably that play right there, that entire line where we saw them come back into game 3 and just completely explode the Baron. That is a game that completely defines your series and your team here in Horizon Cup. So exciting stuff to see. And now I'm ready for semifinals, Rafa. Those two teams, Daku Gaming, Thundertalk, they have tape. They were able to see what happened, and those semifinals are going to be really tight.
That's right. One team from Southeast Asia, one team from Korea against the two powerhouses of China. For more on that series and to close out the day, let's check in once more with the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, gents. Great cast on the day. Our semifinals brackets are now set. Dominant performances today by Rolster Y and Team Secret. Team Secret now face Dakun Gaming, and Rolster gets Thundertalk. What a couple of dominant series here, Riku.
Yeah, it was a pretty fast day, all the 3-0s, and, you know, we are expecting all of these BO5s to happen and reach towards the full distance, but look at what happened. Complete domination for today.
What are your quick thoughts on that one, Araki?
I mean, I did expect the 3-0 for KT Rolster. That was my prediction, but I have to say they didn't look too clean. They had a lot of mishaps, and next up is Thundertalk Gaming, which is a much tougher opponent. So we'll see what happens.
Well, before we get to Thundertalk and that whole series, let's dive deeper into this Rolster win. Our State Farm assist of the day came early, and it came from Do's Lee Sin on the gank in the mid lane here. Araki, the kick here on the Braum was huge.
Yeah, the mechanical awareness here to dragon kick Braum away and finish off the Galio, since otherwise the Braum shield would soak up the damage. Absolutely beautiful stuff. I mean, Do also did set up first blood on Hack at level 3. Lee Sin is king right now. Do sure can play it, and I'm loving the synergy that continues improving between the jungler and the mid laner for Rolster Y, creating for themselves more lanes to play through. Rolster are definitely developing to become a full 3-lane carry team, and not only playing through Rattel, which is some really scary stuff for their opponents.
Right, and Riku, as we break this one down here in game number 3, it was just impressive because it felt like Sengoku gave multiple different looks for Rolster to adjust to.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at game number 2, RY was a little bit rattled with the constant roams that the 3-man did, especially Dragon Lane with Rush. But, you know, I feel like the biggest problem was Luna. He has been constantly hard to reach as well as a target for this entire series. So I was hoping to possibly see a Vi in the 3rd game, but the Camille works as well to easily reach the backline and have Hack delivered with a hero's entrance to lock him down. And there were instances where they did do that, but Luna would still survive, and he's even holding onto key summoner spells like the Flash. But don't forget, there's still Rattel, there's still Isaac, there's still Do in the equation, who, you know, they've been incredibly consistent and reliable to play make and hammer down the team fight wins. And I think this is a huge statement that RY is just incredibly scary in 5v5s.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you highlight Luna as well. The point being, Rolster Y don't have any weak links anymore. Any one of the 3 laners can show up and carry a fight on their own, whether it's the Corki, whether it's the Diana that popped off multiple times, or Fiora TPing and cleaning up. KT are looking really dominant, and it's nice to see a team that can go multiple ways, can have multiple looks, and can draft multiple strategies.
Yeah, and with that, this also means this is the end of us seeing Sengoku Gaming, who brought such great excitement. We're the first team to really push some of our top teams to the brink with the 2-1 loss, I believe, that Thundertalk was. And it was a great series, and we thought we'd expect to see, I don't know, a little bit more out of them, a little bit more a killer instinct, because they were able to get leads here, Rocky. They just weren't able to close things out.
Well, that's a big testament to Rolster Y's clean macro and overall understanding of to sit back and allow their carries to get their items and catch up in gold, or just get ahead in gold. I think in the first game, or the first series of the day, when we watched SBTC play against Team Secret, it was the exact opposite. SBTC would continuously fight Team Secret even if they were down gold and don't have positioning, and it's a big contrast to how Rolster Y understand their win conditions and play around them.
Right. Well, we do know that Sengoku had talked multiple times about, hey, we want to win, but we're mostly here to see how well we stack up against the world's best and take these experiences up until next year. They definitely, I think, showed themselves well, made their region proud. And again, you can go to my Twitter and check it out. Because I retweeted it, the Sengoku watch party of the last round of the group stage was just amazing to see. So the growth in that region bodes well for the future, and it's been a very, very fun time getting to know this team and getting to watch this team. So one more time, though, hats off to Sengoku Gaming. Riku, I want to turn back to Rolster now, just because they did look so dang impressive in this 3-0, not only just leading the whole way like they did there in game 3, but finding multiple ways to fight back in game 1, and then just this unique invade here in game number 2. What do you think has been the key to their growth from the knockout stage, or from the group stage to the knockout stage?
I think for me, the way that Rolster Y, the way that they're still stable, even though, like, for example, what Sengoku did during game number 2 with the constant jungle invades, they don't really force themselves to play to the tune of the music of Sengoku. They know that they have a game plan. They know that they drafted where they're going to be strong in the team fights later on. All they needed to do was survive, and they weren't rattled at all, and they stuck to their win conditions. And I really love how they identified that. And the fact they didn't reveal too much as well in the series coming from the quarterfinals. They basically, you know, this draft worked, let's not change it. Basically from game 2 to 3, it has remained unchanged. So there's still that big mystery. What else can they play? What else are they going to bring up towards the semifinals? And I think that's a big strength that they could utilize up against Thunder Talk.
Yeah, to reiterate my point as well from earlier, the quarterfinals, semifinals, or even the grand finals, they're all best of 5s and eventually a best of 7. So adaptation and flexibility is really important. Endurance and mental fortitude is really important. And both of these things Rolster does have. It's a completely different ball game than group stage, and they're looking really good for it. But like I said, they have really tough opponents coming up, and the Chinese super teams are waiting for them.
Yeah, they are. And now we have Rolster-wise Isaac standing by with La Tigris over in Singapore. Let's send it on over to her and hear what he had to say.
And with that victory, we have concluded yet another dominating quarter-final performance. Rolster Y coming out on top. I am joined by the mid laner, Isaac. I just want to know, first off, what were your expectations for this matchup going against Sengoku Gaming today?
오늘 생고쿠 게이밍 상대하시면서 결과에 대한 예상이 어땠는지가 궁금해요.
처음에 올 때는 그냥 처음에는 3대 0으로 이겼으면 좋겠다는 생각을 하면서 왔는데 이렇게 무사히 3대 0으로 예상했었어요.
Going into the match, we expected that this would be a very dominant 3-0 series, so I'm relieved that it turned out to be like that.
That being said, there was some difficulty in the early game in game 2. What was your response to their invading style and really trying to get things going at the top?
그럼에도 불구하고 2세트 초반에는 좀 힘들어하시는 모습을 보였는데 생고쿠 게이밍 인베이드도 들어오면서 그거에 대해서는 어떻게 느끼셨나요? 게임하면서?
처음에 인베 들어왔을 때는 그냥 살짝 당황했는데 연습 경기로 예전에 이런 상황을 많이 겪어봤기 때문에 딱히 그 플랜 B로 돌아가가지고 했던 것 같습니다.
We did feel a little uneasy when Sengoku Gaming invaded our side, but we've had a lot of these experiences during scrim games and practices, so we were able to respond to that very easily with our plan B.
It does feel like even when teams get a kill or two on you, you always maintain an even or even a larger gold lead. How do you manage to play so consistently as a team, even when everyone else is trying to make plays against you?
롤스터와이가 플레이하는 거를 보면은 뭐 킬을 한두 개 내주더라도 좀 꾸준히 골드를 리드하거나 맞춰가는 모습을 보이는데 비결이 뭐라고 생각하시나요?
일단은 흘리는 라인 없이 막타를 잘 치고 그리고 정글 캠프 같은 거 잘 돌아주는 게 비결이라고 생각합니다.
I think our know-how is that we last hit minions very well. as well as killing all the jungle camps in a very efficient way. So I'd say that's why we are able to maintain the gold lead.
All right, well, you're maintaining that lead going all the way into your semifinal matchup. We look forward to that against Thunder Talk Gaming. Thank you for the interview. Horizon Cup is full of action, everyone. See you later.
How about that, Araki? You just farm better, and then you have the gold lead. It's that simple there, according to Isaac. What do you think?
I guess it is that simple. I mean, this team, we've highlighted once and once again that they're really smart with macro and try to not lose gold on the map. They always catch side waves and whatnot. I mean, about Isaac in particular, he's consistently performing, and I'm wondering if he can claim the title of the faker of Wild Rift, right? And that's what I love about events such as the Horizon Cup, the opportunity they allow for superstars to rise and spread their names globally.
Well, I think there's one player that might have a stake to that claim, and it's the guy that he's playing in the next round in Z for Thunder Talk. So there's going to be a whole lot of conversation about best solo laners, best players overall. It's going to be a lot of fun there. Riku, what did you think about that interview?
Yeah, for me, I think it just shows how calm they were in the entire series. Again, looking at game 2, it felt like Isaac mentioned that they felt a little bit uneasy, but because of the scrims that they've experienced, you know, it wasn't anything new. They knew how to play around it and how to get back in the game, despite Sengoku's constant invade in their jungle. And I think that it looks really, it seems to me that, you know, it's kind of hard to rattle the early game now for RY, and some teams, well, Thunder Talk will have to see if, you know, they don't really have to resort to that kind of strategy.
Well, speaking of early game, earlier in the day, Gabby caught up with Tatsuri after Team Secret's dominant win over SBTC Esports. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Hello, everyone. Following our first quarterfinal matchup of the Wild Rift Horizon Cup, I am joined by Team Secret's mid laner, Tatsuri. The last 4 times you faced off against SBTC, they came out on top. What does it mean to you and the rest of the team to finally pull off the series victory against them today?
I think we can actually 3-0 them now, because I think we improved so much when we are playing this Horizon Cup.
Yeah, from the audience perspective, we have definitely seen that improvement to have such a dominating victory. If you care to dive into that a bit deeper, what is it that has allowed you and the rest of the team to evolve so much?
I think all of us evolved so much because of we play together, and our communication improved a lot.
Everyone felt like they were on the same page in a lot of these plays. And speaking to your play a bit more, you have a lot of picks in your champion pool. You had the Orianna, you had the Zed come out as well. How much of a priority is it to you as a mid laner to have all of this level of play across so many styles?
I already learned all the champion because I want to adjust on my teammates.
Be able to serve your team in the best way possible. And you have another really difficult match coming up against Dakun Gaming. What are your thoughts on their performance thus far within the tournament and how you plan to take them down in the semifinal?
They're so strong team because but we can 3-0 them.
All right, looking for another 3-0, Tatsuri. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
With that, it's not the end of all the excitement we have here at Wild Rift Horizon Cup. Stay tuned, friends.
It's not the excitement, because the excitement is now flowing through all of us. The caster's over there, my analyst's back on the wall. We're all like, did he say 3-0? He said 3-0. He doubled down and said 3-0 again, Araki.
Yeah, that's a bold statement. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if they can actually deliver on it, but I personally have my doubts. I mean, DKG is an insane team, but I do want to say Tatsuri or Code, both the mid laners that did play for Team Secret, are doing a very good job of fulfilling their roles within the team. And he touched on it. He's been expanding his champion pool to support his team best possible. And it's a nice look to see them very coherent.
Riku, you're the resident Team Secret fan. What did you think about his statements there?
Okay, honestly, if Team Secret plays like they did up against SBTC tomorrow, It's possible. I can see a 3-0 coming.
Okay, here we go. Well, let's fly the bracket with our quarterfinal matchup complete. Let's take a look at it. Today, we say goodbye to SBTC Esports and Sengoku Gaming. Our semifinal action kicks off tomorrow with China's Dakun Gaming going up against the remaining Southeast Asian representative, Team Secret of the Philippines. Then, China returns in our second semifinal, but in the form of Thunder Talk Gaming facing off against Korea's KT Rolster. When we take a look at this matchup, Riku, what excites you the most here?
I mean, of course, it's going to be the first match, Team Secret versus DKG. Again, right now, it's looking to be the Chinese teams looking to be the big bosses to beat in this tournament. But I feel like Team Secret is well-equipped. All their experiences from the Horizon Cup is going to prepare them for this big semifinals matchup.
Rocky Zoro, same thing, or is it the other match?
No, I want to shut down that copium. I mean, this is so much copium going through the studio right now with Team Secret possibly 3-0 DKG. What are we talking about? But anyways, I mean, the curious thing to me to find out is whether it's going to be an all Chinese finals, or if whether one of the SEA or Korean teams are going to be able to sneak through. I think KT have a good chance of making it through Thunder Talk. But yeah, really excited for the matches.
So KT is more likely to make it through than Team Secret. Is that what I just heard, Araki Zora? Everyone, you heard it there. He's not believing in the Southeast Asian representatives who just defeated the monsters that had been haunting them for months, almost all year. They are able to beat SBTC. All right, you don't want any of this copium? It's some good stuff here, Araki.
I'm good. I think KT might be able to make it, but DKG is definitely going through.
All right, he's good, he says. That's it from us here at the State Farm Analyst Desk. Thanks, everyone, for watching and joining us today. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more Horizon Cup action, the semifinals.